So continuing on here with 2.2 in the examples, I want to find the center and radius of this. So we're going to have to complete the squares and reorder everything. So I move this 10 over, this negative 10, so that I can put my x's together, my y's together. And I'm going to move the numbers over because we're completing the squares. So here we go. So I want to complete the squares here. So I move that over, and I don't need to complete the squares here. The reason being is it's y squared, so it just is telling me that the center is going to be 0 at the y spot. So there's nothing I need to do with that one. So I need to complete the squares here with this. So that is b over 2 squared, and that's negative 10 over 2 squared, which is negative 5 squared, and that's 25, which means I need to add 25 to this side and this side. Okay. So to factor this, it's whatever's in the parentheses is your factor. So the first thing is going to be an x minus 5 squared. This one is done. So it's a y squared, and negative 18 plus 25 is 7. So the center is the opposites. So positive 5 and 0, and the radius is the square root, because you got to square root that number, so it's the square root of 7. Okay, next up. I need to find the center and the radius of this. So in order to do this, I'm going to rearrange everything. So all the x's right together, all the y's together. I'm going to move that number over. Now when you look on this side, I can't do anything with this because I have numbers in front of my x squareds and y squareds. So with the numbers in front of my x squareds and y squareds, I'm going to take a 2 out of everything, which I just did. And I'm going to try to complete the squares with everything on the inside. So that's why I have this spaced out in x squared minus 6x and the y squared plus 2y with the spaces. So it's b over 2 squared, right? So b over 2 squared, negative 6 divided by 2, so that's negative 3 squared, which is 9. So I need to add 9 there. But if I'm adding 9, 9 times 2, I'm actually adding 18 to both sides because there's still a 2 on the outside. So when I put a 9 in there, it's actually an 18 that's going inside of there. Okay. Then the y's, b over 2 squared. So that's 2 over 2 squared, which is 1 squared. 1 squared is 1. So I put a 1 in here. But 1 times 2 is 2, so I'm actually adding a 2. So I have a 2 on the outside, I have all of this, and I need to factor this group and factor this group, but the factors, remember what's in the parentheses, so a negative 3 is going to be the factor for the x's, and a 1 is going to be the factor for the y's. I smushed all those together to get a 35, dividing by 2, so that's gone, so all of this equals 35 over 2, okay. And now I can factor these because if you remember, this was negative 3 in the parentheses, so that's an x minus 3 squared. This was a 1, so it's a y plus 1 squared. So the center is the opposite, 3 and negative 1. The radius is 35 over 2, but the square root of it, which you can't have a root 2 in the bottom, which is why I did root 2 times root 2 to get root 70 on top over 2 as the final answer. Write the equation of a circle. Well, here's the formula, and we are given the we're given the center, and we're given a random point. That's h and k, that's x and y. So all I need to do is plug this in. There's the x, there's the y, that's h, that's k. So there's everything plugged in. 4 minus 2 is 2 squared, that's plus positive. So that is a negative 4 squared. So it's 4 plus 16 equals r squared. So that's 20 is r squared. So because 20 is r squared, the equation of the circle. This is just so you can figure out what r is. So r is actually that. But we only really need for this equation what r squared is. So I could have just left it as 20. That wouldn't have mattered because that's what r squared is, right? R squared was 20, so no big deal. X minus 2 squared, and that becomes plus a positive, so there would be my equation of the circle. Try it out again. Write the equation of a circle. They're telling me the radius is 3, so 3 squared is going to be 9 out here. And the center, I just plug them in, h and k. So there's h, there's k. That's plus a positive, and 3 squared is 9, so there's your equation of the circle. If you have any other questions or concerns, please feel free to let me know. But the hardest part of this whole section is the circles. So that would be the biggest thing to pay closer attention to. If you have any questions, please feel free to let me know.